Hey gorgeous ones, this is Anne calling from Tanssiina. Today we're going to talk a little about hoops, gymnastics hoops in particular, but also a little bit about hula hooping. We're talking about hoop maintenance, as you can see. It's the summer holidays in Finland at the moment, and we still have a couple of weeks time before the new term, the new season begins, and it's as good time as any to check out on your equipment to see the shape that they're in and to see if there's any maintenance that needs to be doing or if you need new equipment. I have a few pointers for you, but before we get into any pointers, it's very vital that you find out what the right size hoop is for you. And the right sizing for gymnastics, the hoop, when it's standing upright and you're standing upright, it needs to come all the way up to your hip bone. If you are a tiny person, like between 4 and 6 years old, and you're growing fast, the hoop can come all the way up to your belly button. But once you've gone past that, the right sizing for the hoop is that it needs to fit to your hip bone. And if it's a big hoop that you've gathered for yourself, if you've bought it second hand, maybe from somebody, or if you've bought it new and they don't have any smaller ones, it's easy to make it smaller. You can sew it and attach it, reattach it to itself, and then you can have a smaller hoop, but you can't make it bigger. So if you've got yourself a hoop, if you've got yourself a potential hoop, make sure that it's big enough for you, because it's easy to make it smaller, but it's impossible to make it bigger. But if you've got a hoop in your rehearsal gear already, it's good to check the quality of the hoop, to see what it feels like in your hand, to see if it needs any maintenance. And once you've got it to the right size, you need to see that it's still a round spherical shape. It's supposed to be completely round, but sometimes the gravity takes its toll on the hoops, and the hoops might become warped a little so that it becomes an elliptical shape, and that's a no-go. You can't work with a hoop like that. A solution for that, if you end up with a hoop that's gone a little bit elliptical, you can warm it up with tap water. You can put it under pouring water and warm the whole hoop up, and then try and reshape it. It's quite hard, and it's probably easier to buy a new one, to get a new completely round one at that time. But you can try to do a bit of maintenance for it. And you can also, the second thing you can do is to press down in the hoop on all sides of it to make sure that it bounces in the same way from all sides, so that it's kind of equal everywhere. There's one place in the hoop, that's probably here, as you can see, one place where it's attached to itself, so it's a rounded bar of plastic, I should say, and it's stuck together from the two ends are stuck together. So there's one place where it should be it should feel a little bit different, because there's a bar in between the two sides of the hoop. But apart from that, it should be identical. It should feel, the bound should feel identical when you press it down, so you know that it's in good shape. If there's any a tiny minor scratches, don't really matter that much, because you can cover them with tape. But it's possible to get cracks and bends in your hoop, and those are a no-go. If you find a hoop, even if it's a second-hand hoop and you're getting it for free, don't use one that has warps and twists and tangles in it. It's impossible to use. The hoop needs to be a round spherical shape, and it needs to bend equally from all sides in order for it to work. Other than that, you're going to end up with a hoop that goes haywire when you've lifted up somewhere, and that's a no-go. Third thing that you need to find out about your hoop is the taping on the top. Usually when you buy a hoop, a new hoop, it's either white or see-through, or a single color somehow, but you can tape it, and most gymnastics hoops are taped to match the competition outfits, the leotards. This is one that's got all different types of colors. This is one that I've taped here at Tanssiina. And what you can do with the taping is that you can go and see all around the hoop and try and find out if the taping is still equally kind of, what's the word for it? It needs to be shiny, and it needs to be smooth. It needs to be a really smooth surface. If it is not, if the tape is coming off, you can also always retape it. We're going to make another video about retaping, about taking the old tape off and then replacing it with new. But for now, it's enough for you to know that you need to somehow, and sometimes, at times, you need to retape your hoops, and it's a fun game that you can do. You can match it to your competition outfit, or you can use your favorite colors, or you can choose in your team, you can choose combined colors that everybody uses. But those 3 pointers are a good thing to check before your new term starts and before you begin your rehearsals for the next term. First, check that the sizing is right, that it fits all the way up to your hip bone. Then secondly, check that the hoop is completely spherical, that it's a round shape and not elliptical, and it's not warped. Thirdly, check the bounciness, that it bounces everywhere at the same rate. And then fourthly, you can check the surface of the hoop, that it's nice and shiny and smooth, because if there's any warps in that, if there's any bumps in the sticky tape, it's really hard to use. When you throw your hoop and you're trying to catch it mid-air, it hurts your hand if it's not smooth. And the taping also helps with catching, because it's quite sticky on the top of it also, so it's really easy to grab a hold of the hoop. So a good taping is a must for a gymnastics hoop. This goes always and also to your little hula hoops that you have for your kids at home. You can do the same thing to them. This is especially vital for gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics and AGG, aesthetic group gymnastics. But you can use these things for your hula hoops too, if you have that as a hobby. Hula hooping hoops can be a little smaller than gymnastics ones, so they're easier to twirl around. But with these ideas and this information, you can have a good hoop to begin your new term and your new season. Have fun for your last school holiday weeks, if you have that, and if you've already come back from your school holidays. Have a fabulous new season. We're just beginning our season in a couple of weeks' time in Finland, the autumn season, and we're so looking forward to it. I'll catch you later. Bye bye.